The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres is sending the Emergency Relief Coordinator and Under-Secretary-General for the Humanitarian Affairs, Martin Griffiths, to Sudan immediately. Spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary-General, Stéphane Dujarric, says the rapidly deteriorating humanitarian crisis in Sudan, together with the scale and speed of what is unfolding, is unprecedented in Sudan. Dujarric says they are extremely concerned by the immediate as well as long-term impact on people in Sudan and the broader region. He has urged all parties to the conflict to protect civilians and civilian infrastructure, allow a safe passage for civilians fleeing areas of hostilities. Meanwhile, International Relations Minister here in South Africa, Naledi Pandor, says she is relieved that South Africans that have been evacuated from Sudan are finally being united with their families. Pandor received the evacuees from Sudan yesterday. Two of the evacuees, Pierre Rossouw and Charmaine Rossouw, now join us live via Zoom. Pierre as well as Charmaine, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How do you guys feel? This is your first morning, I guess, waking up in South Africa?
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, it's great being back.
It's great being back. Tell us about what that moment felt for you guys once the plane actually landed at the O.R. Tambo International Airport, also considering that the destruction that you left behind in Sudan.
Yeah, personally, it was really just a feeling of relief to be able to put this episode behind us and hopefully pick up the pieces for our future. It's been quite a long haul, but we're really thankful for all the people that were involved in getting us here, you know, from DIRCO, the embassy staff, colleagues and friends who contacted the media and the media themselves to just bring awareness to the situation. And then, of course, the prayers or the people who had us in their prayers. It's been really amazing, the support that we've had.
Yeah, and I have to say, though, thank you guys as well for keeping us updated and also sometimes at a risk. And Charmaine, I remember the last time that we spoke and speaking from that apartment that you guys were at, you were very emotional considering that there were still these bombardments that were taking place and the sounds of these rattling bullets.
Very much so, and I must say it actually got worse after that. Didn't expect it really to get that bad, and we then had to make the decision to get out. And we were just chatting this morning. It basically took us 8 days since we left Umdurman to be back on SA soil. So it's really been a testing time, and what we experienced in between at the border, especially. And yeah, it's been tough, but we are home safe.
Yeah, and upon some of that reflection as well, Charmaine and Pierre, what can you tell us about that level of destruction that you witnessed? And of course, you guys are quite fortunate that at least you are able to leave the country. Unfortunately, some people lost their lives.
Yeah, it's terrible. You know, often we see these pictures on television, and you kind of just an observer, but being in the midst of it, not just from a personal point of view, but just seeing the civilians caught in the crossfire, it's really heart-wrenching at times in terms of the human cost that's being paid, and then in terms of infrastructure and so on, it's devastating for a country like Sudan, which doesn't have a massive economy. How should or when this comes to an end, the rebuilding phase is going to be enormous.
And with that rebuilding, Pierre, would you be going back if the company that you work for and the business partners that you have say that we feel that we still want to build in Sudan?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's something that we've spoken about, and certainly want to go back and be part of the rebuilding process. Yeah, it's a privilege to be able to contribute in whatever small way that we can.
Yeah, yeah. And the last one is on Egypt. While you guys were in Egypt, we did struggle a bit to get some updates from you whilst you were there, and also, I guess, en route to Egypt as well. Tell us about the experience there.
Yeah, as bad as the situation in Khartoum was, the situation at the border is really tough. It took us 2 days, and I actually was speaking to a Kenyan guy this morning. He's been there for, I think, 5 days now, and he still isn't through the border. You know, the borders aren't equipped to handle this level of traffic in terms of just basics, ablutions, water, food. The officials are under pressure. There are thousands and thousands of people sitting at the border trying to get through. During the 2 days that we were there, we know of 2 people that passed away. The one gentleman passed away in the no man's land, sort of between Sudan and Egypt, and one person passed away on the Egyptian side of the border before they were able to get cleared and get out of the border post area. On the Sudan side, there's no medical assistance in terms of Red Cross. There was Red Crescent people on the Egyptian side, but also the amount of people coming through, I just don't think that they're equipped to handle those volumes. So the border situation, you think you're out of a danger area in terms of the fighting in Khartoum, and then you get to the border, and it's almost worse than the fighting in some instances.
Yeah. And Charmaine, I see you nodding your head there in agreement. Speak to us about what you witnessed from your vantage point, and perhaps even the conversations that you had with some of the fellow evacuees who were really in great despair.
As I must say, I echo everything that Pierre says. But, you know, once we left Sudan and we eventually got to the Egypt side, I almost had a sigh of relief. Yes, we're out, we are free. Pure, and then actually it's almost like all hell broke loose. Just to go through, your bags get thrown around, then you try and find it, then you got to push, then they say you got to go to encounter. And it was hot, it was so hot. I have never really perspired, is the nice word, as much as it was really, I don't actually have the words to explain what it felt like. I thought we had to fight to then get through the people, the amount of people there. Then you get to a counter and we almost fight, we push each other, and there were some tense moments. Then once you're through at where the counter is, they say we've pushed about half an hour and we're sweaty and we're trying to have the passports handed over. Once you get to the gate where the window is, they said, where's your invoice? Where's your invoice for the stamp for the visa? Then you got to go back again and you don't know where's back. There's just queue after queue and people packed. I've in my life never experienced anything like that. It's really something I'll never forget, but yeah. You know, we are grateful we're out, and I'm thinking of those who are left behind and not out yet. And that's just what it is, but we're grateful.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pierre, and thank you so much, Charmaine, as well, for making time for us. Pierre and Charmaine Rossouw there, they were part of the 51 evacuees who were brought back home yesterday, and of course being received by the Minister of International Relations, Naledi Pandor.